it's great to like connect now. So like we are starting the series with the like the owners of the projects, and yeah, we like as you know, like our project is mostly educational and about education people, like educating them, and bringing them value. So yeah, I think like we prepared like some really cool questions, and we want to like ask them, and yeah, like I think like Adrian could go through them, and yeah, I think like that's it.
Yeah, sure. I'm more than happy to answer whatever questions I can. I think I told Adrian I'm not the developer or tech lead there, but I could probably steer you guys in the right direction at the very least. So yeah, more than happy to answer all your questions about Stargaze.
Great. So if you are like open, then we will start the recording. So like for the posting purposes later.
Yeah,
To the
that's all
community.
good. Yeah, I consent to recording.
Great. We are also doing that. So yeah, like Adrian, I think you can start.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight. For you, it's like daytime probably.
Yeah, it's about 2 p.m. I think it's 10 p.m. for you guys, right?
Yeah, 10 p.m. for me, 9 p.m. for David.
So yeah, you guys are located in different countries or different parts of the world.
We are based in Europe.
Yeah,
in different countries.
Right. Okay, understood.
So yeah, let's start with what is your role on the Stargaze team?
My role is I do pretty much all the non-dev stuff. So like operations, like community management. I'm helping with the curation, partnerships, and a little bit of marketing. So we're a relatively small team, and most everybody else is a developer. And I'm the only one that really doesn't code in front end or back end. So pretty much all the other stuff falls to me. With that said, we operate like a startup, so everyone wears like multiple hats. So like, we have our bridge dev, he's very active in the Telegram chat. Shane obviously, does a little bit of everything, because he's like the main driver. Jorge, you probably don't hear from as much, but he makes sure everything is running running properly, that we have a chain and the chain's moving correctly in the right direction.
Nice. So yeah, I'm actually glad that I'm speaking to the only non-developer. No disrespect to the other guys, but it's good that we have the information come from someone that can also speak our language, because not everyone in this ecosystem is a developer. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I totally understand, and sometimes it can get a little technical with those guys, but yeah, I mean, the future and vision and everything, that Shane can definitely talk to that a little bit better than me. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do anything else here.
Yeah, so I know that the founders are Shane, Jake, and Jorge. How did you meet them, and when did you join the team?
I've met Shane many years ago, when he was here for South by Southwest, probably 10 plus years ago. We've kept in touch. I've always been like, I'm traditionally working in media production, so I worked with like a lot of technology companies. I've done some contract like video work for other like crypto companies, and then in October I joined Stargaze to help out with the operational stuff. That's when they were raising like the very small seed round, and the chain was about to go to mainnet, so they like needed just more help on the operational side. And Shane knew I was really interested in this stuff, and I was somewhat organized, and we just chatted about it, and it seemed to be a good fit, and it was a good opportunity. So this was my first position working from within a team as opposed to like a contract from outside the team.
That's nice. That's nice. So I know that Stargaze have been officially launched on October 29th, 2021, but how long have the team been working on it behind the curtains?
That is a very good question. So this is more of a Shane question, I think, or Jorge question. But I don't know when the first testnet started. I could find out for you on that, but I think the testnet started in early 2021. And the initial idea was to create some kind of like social network on Cosmos. But that idea was so vast, so expansive that that the team decided to scale it back. Like for example, if they were trying to kind of solve the problem of how to incentivize people to post, like what are these posts going to be in a social media site? And they ended up thinking, oh, these posts are essentially NFTs that people own. And so they realized there wasn't really an NFT space in the Cosmos yet. It was pretty well developed in Ethereum, but Cosmos was just kind of getting started. So that's how they pivoted from like that social site to an NFT site, and now we're looking at building social features on top of the NFTs. But the Trojan horse is always like the NFT, right? If you have people understand NFTs and like owning those assets, it's easier for them to trade socially. Like the NFTs essentially create a social group, right? A social community, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And we will touch more about this social stuff in the later questions.
And also another thing was Shane and Jorge, I believe, both worked at True Story or worked on launching True Story, which was like a Cosmos, project that did not work out. But the idea was to create kind of like a social media site that's true to fight disinformation. Let me see if I can actually find something for you guys. True Story, Cosmos. Yeah, if you guys are interested, you should look up True Story because that was the older one. Let me see if I can find it here. That's a Shane question. If you're curious, I could find out about that for you. But yeah, sorry. We could continue if you think I answered that pretty well.
Yeah, you answered it pretty well, man. You also touched some other later questions, which we will get back to. But I know that Stargaze is a layer 1 blockchain. So why did you choose to go this path as opposed to constructing on top of another blockchain?
Using our own chain gives us more freedom and flexibility on what we want to do. So the Cosmos is full of app-specific chains, right? So like Osmosis is specifically a DEX, Akash is for cloud computing. So we wanted to create a chain specifically for NFTs, where NFTs would be thought from the ground up. For example, we have 45% of our block rewards will eventually go to people who stake NFTs. You can't really do that on your own chain. Sorry, if you don't have your own chain. We also have permission smart contracts. So through governance, people can, like vote or vote against contracts that may not be for the heart of what Stargaze is about. And what else did we build a chain? Just to have control, to have the community be interested in a chain for NFTs specifically.
Yeah, nice. I think that is pretty cool to have your own chain. This is something pretty unique.
And the way Cosmos and IBC work is that, you have all of these. Y'all have been to Map of Zones. I don't know if I think I may have showed you that last time. But The idea is that every Cosmos chain can kind of do its own thing, and then they could communicate over IBC, kind of like different city states. So like these city states could kind of be on their own, have their own economies, have their own security, like their own army. But if they want to speak and trade with other city states, those are what the relayers for, and those are like the trade routes. So here's like another little map for you, and that kind of shows how Cosmos chains are connected via IBC and like the transfers between them.
Nice. Thank you for sending the map. I think we can also edit in the article of this interview. So Stargaze is actually the first marketplace to implement Launchpad on Cosmos. That is correct?
As far as I know, yes. You may want to double check. I know Secret had the stash. They have their stash site, but I don't know if that was a Launchpad and or marketplace. Yeah, but Secret is a little different because it's not as straightforward to use, because I think you have to like convert your secret to S secret. So there's a little bit more for like a barrier of friction to work with it. Also, Terra is a Cosmos chain, so they had random Earth, so they existed before we did. But Terra, as you know, they're the app-specific chain, or they were the app-specific chain for stablecoins. And so NFTs were almost like I don't want to say an afterthought, but it wasn't the primary function of the chain. And as you can see, like with Terra, like it kind of imploded, right? But because it was its own city state, the issues of Terra were able to more or less be contained within Terra, and they cut off IBC access to osmosis. So whatever was going on in Terra didn't really affect the greater Cosmos as much.
Yeah, I see. So I guess you're like the first blockchain that is specifically designed for NFT purposes on Cosmos.
Exactly. And as you can see that like the permission smart contracts really help with that. So, if people are welcome to do, crazy DeFi stuff, but they'd have to convince the community to vote it through governance.
Nice. So I know that you launched your first NFT Genesis collections on March the 2nd. Have you faced any challenges with that?
With the March 2nd launch?
Yeah.
I guess the main challenges were getting everything together and doing it for the very first time. So it was definitely a lot of work getting, I think we had 16 projects that ended up being launched on Genesis. And there are different levels of technical capability of the people who launched. So just simply getting the artists ready to launch for the very first time in the history of Stargaze proved to be a little bit of a challenge. So it took us, I don't think everyone launched at the exact same time. I think some people over the course of the next like 20 hours or so ended up launching. But in terms of like the technical launch, no, everything went off pretty well. Like there weren't any issues with the chain. The chain held up. People were able to purchase. There may have been like a couple of bugs on the site, but nothing unexpected really. We expected there to be a couple of small issues. But yeah, the main issue was making sure all 16 of those projects would launch together in a relatively short period of time. Consequently, we were doing 4 projects a week, and then now 2 projects a week. So it's become easier to launch these projects when we're not doing a whole lot at the same time.
Yeah, so I guess it was kind of a challenge to launch all the 16 projects at the same time, but apparently you managed it.
We also were a little concerned with how the nodes, or I guess the validators, would deal with the traffic, because as we knew that the chain wasn't tested to that level really. I think that there were definitely tests on testnet, but 16 projects, and everyone was trying to come and purchase to claim their airdrop. Well, we didn't really know exactly how it was gonna to work out, but we were pretty confident, and the chain held up without any issues whatsoever. Like the chain was fine. So we, it's kind of one of those things where you stress out about it and you work so hard to make sure it's not an issue. So when it actually does happen, there's no problem at all.
That sounds so nice.
Yeah.
So other than that, do you have any memorable incident, to say it like this, since you started working on Stargaze?
Like a memorable problems?
Not necessarily a problem, just a memorable thing that happened,
Oh man,
maybe a challenge to overcome, not really a problem. Or
there's been so
nice
much
moment.
that's happened, so much that has happened since October. It's kind of there's a lot that's happened. I'm trying to think. Overcoming. I'd like to say that the community has really stepped up a lot to help out with a lot of these issues. So we've grown really fast, especially since Marketplace launched, and like keeping up with the community interactions on Discord and Telegram have definitely been a challenge, and Twitter itself. But the community themselves has stepped up to like help out other members in helping to like answer questions, and even launch projects. We have Meta Induction is a community member, and he started something called a Starlight DAO. And that was really cool. He's helping projects launch, I think relatively free of charge. Like he runs a validator on Cosmos, and he's looking to really get more involved with his DAO to help creators to create like a group of people to help each other out on like marketing and art and like the tech stuff. So he's launched, I know, the Anyo collections, the Women of Cosmos collections, and like one or two more projects which I can't think of. In addition to that, we've also had the Knots team do their Not Supported Artists. I think they do take a commission, but they've launched Wad Squad, the Knots, and I think maybe like a jellyfish project. So that's been great. And I'm trying to think any other major challenges. We did have actually, when we did initiate the airdrop, we had an issue with claiming from a ledger, and that's more of a technical issue. That was like what was it? It was like an AMINO issue, that people with ledgers were not able to claim their initial airdrop, I think. And we fixed that within about 5 days. So that was like kind of a bug I was talking to you about. But we released a CLI fix for that, I think within like 2 or 3 days, like just a couple of days. And then we released like the full fix, which came through a chain upgrade within about a week's time. So I guess one thing is that contracts that go through Stargaze have to go through governance, right? So for us to do that chain upgrade, we had to submit that for governance. And then I think it was like 3 days. It's the governance period is 3 days, but I think it takes like 6 days to enable the upgrade. So that you can consider is, it takes time, but it's just more secure that way. That was an issue. Any other notable events? I would have to go through a Twitter post to see, to be honest with you. Every day there's a lot going on.
Yeah, totally understandable on something so big happening so fast.
Do you have anything in mind that you were thinking of that I can comment on that you may have seen?
No, not something I have seen. Just wanted to get your input on this.
Yeah.
Because I know that everyone has ups and downs. But you guys put like pretty good about all of this.
I think we worked out pretty well. There were, it's just been fun also seeing what projects that really resonate with people. Like the Bad Kids have really kind of grown to be a big community hit. I mean, so has the Stargaze Punks. And it's just really fun seeing what people like and how they associate with the NFTs and kind of the communities they're creating through these NFTs.
Yeah, because I know that you guys are right now sitting in the top 10 chart on marketplaces, NFT marketplaces by volume. So this is a pretty nice achievement.
Yeah, I mean, and the marketplace really just launched, what was it, like a week or two ago. We're still building the indexer to get the most accurate data. But yeah, from the preliminary information, I think we're right below Tezos in terms of volume, which is very exciting for us.
Yeah, I can only imagine when you guys saw that, you were pretty happy about it.
Yeah, definitely very happy. But yeah, we just have to keep the momentum up and keep moving forward. Yeah, like we don't want to rest on our laurels too much. We know that there's a lot of features that we need to add, especially with Marketplace and the UI. It's still in beta, but everyone was asking when Marketplace, so we gave them a little taste right now.
Yeah, and I know that Shane said in another interview that the Cosmos ecosystem in general has an issue with the marketing. Why do you think that is, and how how do you think we can solve this problem?
That's a great question. I think there are a lot of very strong developers in the Cosmos, but we may not focus heavily on marketing. We don't we're not a chain like Near, Solana, Algorand, where we have like massive VCs. So like each chain in the Cosmos is its own specific chain, right? So like if we look at Terra Luna, like they had great marketing. I mean, you can argue that they targeted retail specifically with their marketing, right? But they designed their chain in such a way to promote that marketing. Same thing with crypto.com. So crypto.com is an IBC chain as well, and they have pretty astonishing marketing, but they don't really push the Cosmos or the Tendermint angle. They just promote crypto.com, right? So like there's a lot of chains that people may be aware of that they don't know is like a Cosmos or Tendermint consensus chain. So that's something that I think the Cosmos hub could work on. But that's also something that I think individual chains could work on to create like a stronger IBC community. One other thing is that a lot of these chains, like I can't speak to every single one of them because I think there's 40 something, but many of them are grassroots chains. So I think you guys have an idea of how Cosmos chains get spun up, right? You pretty much get buy-in from 50 validators, and eventually like more validators will come in, and you don't really need a whole lot of resources to run a validator. You just have to have community buy-in to like help secure the network. So what that means is that we don't have like a ton of huge whales or like VC funding to do that. These chains, like the community pools, are coming out of like their specific treasury. So I think people are just reluctant to put in the effort to market when they may not necessarily see like the benefit of it. Like I think a lot of the marketing in the Cosmos comes from airdrops, right? Airdrops are considered a way of marketing your product to other people in the community. And that's really how a lot of people learned about Stargaze, was through the Stargaze airdrop. Our Discord was relatively empty in October and November, but once people were able to, check out the airdrop, claim it, they learned about Stargaze and what we did. That happened more in January. Like now there's a flurry of activity there. I don't know if that answers your question pretty well or not.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I did ramble there for a little bit.
No worries, man.
But I do think a lot of the marketing, it's like the Cosmos is a bunch of different chains, and each of those chains is going to do their own kind of marketing, and they're going to do it differently. There isn't really a unified Cosmos IBC like marketing wing or angle. There's like the Interchain Foundation, and I think they do some stuff. And then the Cosmos Hub community does some stuff as well. But the idea is that, you know, what's good for like one chain can be good for all chains, like in the Cosmos. But we haven't really seen that yet, and maybe that's something y'all can help with as well.
Yeah, totally. That's why we are here, actually. So
Okay,
we
great.
will look into helping with this in the future. On the note of the airdrop, so I know that you started with an airdrop, and for that airdrop, there was some conditions to be eligible for it. Is it too late for individual to claim that airdrop? Individuals who just got into Cosmos ecosystem, and if it is, will there be any chances for future airdrops for those people in the future?
Yeah, so the snapshot I think was October 11th, maybe, and it's not too late for you to claim your airdrop. I think you guys have probably seen this link here. But that's like the token distribution and airdrop. And so the airdrop will start to decay. I think it was, 4 months after the launch of the market. So the marketplace launched 2 weeks ago. So 4 months after, so basically 3.5 months from now, the airdrop will start to decay. And then by month 8, so roughly 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7.5 months from now, the airdrop will not be claimable. And then at the time, the airdrop was worth $150 million. So it was pretty substantial to a lot of people. And I can't comment on any other airdrops. We haven't designed them yet. We don't know what they're going to look like. So that's a TBD on any more airdrops.
Yeah, but you just kind of confirmed that there are going to be more airdrops. You just don't know what will they contain.
Yeah, I can't tell you how the airdrops will work or what they'll be like, or even if there will be any. We have talked about, incentivizing other chains with airdrops. I don't think that's a secret. You know, every chain kind of does that, but we haven't figured out exactly how that's going to look or what it will be like. So for now, just no comment on future airdrops.
Yeah, that's good. So just to make it clear, if you stake it after the snapshot, you cannot receive an airdrop. So if people are looking to get into it just now, it's too late for them.
That's correct. Yeah. If they're looking to try and get an airdrop from Stargaze, no, the snapshot date was, I think, October 11th, 2021. And you were able to get it from, if you staked Atom. I think there was a minimum of 5 Atom, or if you staked a minimum of 50 Osmo. And then if you were LPing in Osmosis, I think on any pair at any amount, you would be eligible for the airdrop. And so all of these are separate airdrops, meaning that if you stake 5 Atom, you are eligible for roughly 2,500 stars. If you stake 50 Osmo, you're eligible for roughly 2,500 stars. If you were LPing, you're eligible for another 2,500 stars. And I think if you were staking to the Stargaze validator on Osmosis and Cosmos, you may have been eligible for another claim that we may have to check. I don't remember exactly how that looked. But yeah, there are definitely multiple ways to qualify for the airdrop.
Yeah, nice. On another note, I know that one of the activities you do is evaluating and approving NFT collections for the chain. So how does this evaluation looks? Which variables are used while evaluating an NFT project for inclusion on Stargaze? How do you analyze them?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a task. We've gotten hundreds, probably at this point, like definitely over 1,000. Yeah, like many hundreds of applications. And the main thing we look at is the art. How does the art resonate with us? What do we think about the art? The second thing we look at is the community that has been developed. Like, are you active with your community? Is the community interacting with you? Like, how excited are they about your project? And then the third thing is kind of like the economics of the project. What is the supply? What is the demand? And what's the price that you're going to charge for it? So those are the three main ones we look at. And there's different like levels of that as well. Like some people, like you may not need a massive audience if your supply is very low, right? But it could be like a very high quality art. So you can look at, for example, on all of the projects, there's a variation, right? So like the Anyo guys, they're only 25 pieces. They have a high price, but they also have like the demand for it. But yeah, and we also try and make sure as best as we can that they are legitimate projects, meaning that like the art is original, and like the project and project leaders are legitimate. They won't rug.
Okay. So art is a big deal, main focus for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, art, community, and economics of the project are the three main things. And also we like community involvement. I said the community, but also community involvement with Stargaze. So like if people are contributing to the community in some respect, we also consider that as well. So like if people are active in the Discord, or like if they're producing content, or if they're like just helping launch other projects, if they're active in the community, that's also considered in part of the application. But the three main ones are art, number one, number two, community, and then number three, supply, demand, and price.
Okay, nice. And I also know that you guys are working on NFT staking. That is a really nice utility. So how is the work on that going? Is it ready yet? If not, how soon will it be ready? And how will it actually work?
That's to TBD. That's more of like a Shane and Jorge question. So I can't really give any information because I'm not as knowledgeable. I'm sorry about that. But it's coming. All I can say is that 45% of the state of each block reward is going to go to stakers of NFTs. Right now, that percentage is going to the community pool.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, the general idea of NFT staking is you would you would stake your NFT onto the platform and earn a yield or reward for it. So like that's the general idea around it.
Yeah, which can be possibly in stars, maybe in other NFTs.
Sorry, say that again.
Which can be the rewards can be in stars or maybe in other NFTs.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. The way the block rewards work is that you will be rewarded in stars, right? So right now, like 35% goes to stakers, but 45% should go to the people who stake the NFTs. So it currently the way it would work is would be in stars, but yeah, people can I've seen projects where you can essentially get like a staking derivative or reward and claim like NFTs with that reward. That's not necessarily like the main staking token of the chain. So that is possible, but I think that's a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, I'm sure this is more like a Shane question, like you're saying, but I know that other projects on other blockchains are doing stuff like having the first collection, and you are able to stake the pieces from the first collection in order to get pieces from a second collection, and this is the only way you can get pieces from the second collection, by staking the first collection.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it can get like pretty complicated the way the systems work, and so like we want to make sure it's it's right, and then that there's like a need and a demand for it as well before we implement it. Like the way we've been building Stargaze is we've been building products and features as people request them and need them. So we originally wanted to just create a marketplace for NFTs. But we found out that there's really no good place in the cosmos to like launch projects. So we had to develop Launchpad prior to marketplace. So that was a kind of a community need and a demand. So after Launchpad, we created the marketplace, and now we're building features on top of marketplace. And then, you know, next up will be like the staking and the lending and borrowing stuff.
Yeah. So on that note, do you plan to add more functionalities to the marketplace? I know that you actually just answered these questions, but functionalities like being able to see the floor price of the collections before looking at the actual collection. So just seeing the floor price when you look at all the collection.
Yeah, for sure. Those are relatively kind of small issues in the front end that I think we should be able to fix some of those, like seeing the full price. But major features like bidding will be coming once the audit is complete. So I think the audit should be complete, or we're completing this week, and then we'll be able to enable more of those features. I don't know if you saw, let me try and pull this up here. I'm looking for something on Twitter. Shane had this, here we go. Okay, I guess he's not in Paris anymore. Shane had this really good thread about the upcoming features for the Stargaze contract, the marketplace contract. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I haven't.
Okay, let me try and pull it up for you real quick. It was, and you just know, how looking through these Twitter, it's like a jungle.
Yeah, man. I know how it is.
Yeah,
no worries.
When he did this. I may have to find this and send it to you later.
Yeah, no worries, man. I can also look for it if you say it's on Shane's Twitter profile.
I think it should be on his Twitter profile. Then I'm pretty sure he retweeted it from the Stargaze main site, but there's just so many tweets, it's difficult to find them sometimes. But yeah, I'll keep looking as we chat here.
Yeah, no worries. And I know Hubble offers some of these kind of functionalities that currently are not on Stargaze. Do you plan to work with them in the future or stuff like that?
Yeah, so we're in contact with the Hubble team, and they are an independent team. So they kind of do what they want, and they move at their own pace. I think they are faster to get some of these features out. And Hubble is like for more advanced users, kind of like if you want to check the rarity score. I don't know if we'll have the rarity score on Stargaze, because then people are just going to be searching directly through the rarity stuff. But yeah, I mean, we are working with them. They're independent. We may implement some of their same features into the Stargaze main website, but our main focus is like user experience and design. So that just takes a little longer to do. Like Hubble's main thing is to get it out fast and so that people can use it. But we're also just trying to be cognizant of having like the UI and experience behind it. So yeah, I mean, Hubble's great. We love them, and they're an essential tool. And we also expect other sites like Hubble to be born out of like the Stargaze project. So there'll be other third-party sites that help people, classify and group their NFTs. So that's that's that.
Yeah, this is a nice thing that happens, in this kind of ecosystems. Like people build on top of what you build, and the ecosystem gets bigger and interacts with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what we want people to do. We also don't want to build everything ourselves, right? So we want to have like, that's why we have, out of each block rewards, I think I may have told you last time, that 15% of block rewards go to developers. So that goes into like a dev fund that people can apply to be in and receive like a portion or a weight of that in some manner. So the way the chain has been designed is to incentivize out people from outside of like the core team to develop on top of it.
Yeah, that's really nice. So I know that currently the validator number cap is like at 110. How do you feel about that number? It's the perfect number. You planning to add more? And also the other question tied to this one is, what is the incentive for users to choose one validator over another? So it's kind of two questions into one.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, I did find that thread. It was from May 10th, and I posted in the chat here. And so that's going to give you all of the features that are in the current marketplace contract that we have to enable from the UI, from the front end.
Nice.
So yeah, feel free to have a read through that. It's a substantial thread. So you said, yeah, we increased the current validator set from 100 to 110. And we did that to kind of give, it wasn't us who did it, right? It was a community that voted to do it. And I think it was Rhino was the validator who requested to do that. And yeah, I think we will increase the validator size in the future. We don't know when, but there's trade-offs, right? So when you increase the validator size, it can take longer to like create a block. So like it'll take longer for transactions to go through. So there's a trade-off in performance and user experience. So that's something we have to balance towards. But the more validators you have in the set, the more decentralized you are, right? So we definitely want to have more validators, and we don't know when. It's a balancing act between, you know, having like a very secure network and having like a decentralized and fast network. And to decide who's a good validator, that's a great question. So right now you have to do a little bit of research, but I've been working with Jorge on creating pretty much like a site or a place for validators to talk about who they are, like a profile for validators. I know that's something that they have on Terra through GitHub, but I want to make it a little bit more transparent. There are different validators who offer different services. Like some are more into infrastructure, some are more into community, some are more into like creating third-party like sites and dashboards and tools. The validators I can't overstate how important the validators are to the network. They are the backbone of the network, and without them, like, we wouldn't have Stargaze. And each of them contribute in their own way, like either running relayers, running sentry nodes. Like I said, like we're like answering questions on Discord, helping projects launch. Like the IBC NFT guy, he has that website, so he's running a validator now. The Starlight guy is running a validator now. So they each contribute in their own way to running a validator.
That's nice. Yeah, so each one of them are specialized in their kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go to like the Stargaze main page, or like the validator, let me see. We go and see who's validating. We can arrange it by voting power. And we can see Figment is definitely at the very top. Then Cosmos Station, OmniFlix, yeah, like all the big ones. I think it's very important to delegate outside of like the top 10 or 20 validators to decentralize the network and to incentivize these validators to stay on the network. So like I think it's really important to delegate to like the bottom half of the validator set.
Yeah, that's a nice point. So yeah, you can see that you can sort them by different things, like by name, by voting power, or by commission. But if you don't sort them, what is the thing that puts one validator above another? Because right now I refreshed it, and there are other validators at top. I refreshed it again. There are other validators at top, so it's more random.
Right. Okay. So you're asking about the list, right? The default sort list.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's randomized. There's no rhyme or reason to that, and part of the reason was that if we did it alphabetically, then people who had A would be at the very top, or people who had 0 would be at the very top. And so we noticed in our set and even other sets that people would try and game the alphabetical system so that they would appear at the very top of the validator list when people go to delegate their tokens. So now we've just randomized it so that everyone has an equal shot of being like the top validator when people go stake, when they look at seeing the stakes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that you also mentioned this earlier, but I also saw in other interviews that Shane's first idea was to create a social network, and I think this is still his idea. How this goes in the context of an NFT marketplace? You said that earlier, but if you care to elaborate on it a bit more, because I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I don't want to get ahead of myself here, because this is more of a Shane question, because he has the ultimate like vision in mind. I wouldn't say that Stargaze is ultimately going to be like is not ultimately going to be like a Facebook or like another regular social media site. The core of social media is content, right? Is like the text you post, or like the pictures you post, the videos you post. It's the content, and owning that content is like owning an NFT. So we're giving people the rights to own their content, and now building those like social layers on top of that is kind of like peeling the onion back. So we have. We're going to be giving people the option to like update their collection info, to add websites or like other social handles, right? Possibly a name service in the future, right? So you could personalize your Stargaze address. So like these are different social features that we can implement. But it all comes with the digital primitive of content, and how do you own that content. So if we were to create like a social media site, people would be posting to that social media site, right? But what are they posting? They're posting a piece of content, and that content they post, they own. So that content is essentially an NFT. Like we're creating NFTs by creating content. So we're starting at the very foundational layer here. I can't promise when other social features will come out, but the base social layer we're considering is to be NFTs right now.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty interesting, because it's like the opposite of what the current social media platforms are. For example, on Facebook, you don't own your content. Facebook owns your content.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of took a step back from, like, everyone kind of wants to do social media in the blockchain, and it's really cool, and it's kind of like I'm a film student, like I was a film student years ago, and the cliche is that everyone makes a film about like depression and suicide when you're a film student. You kind of have to get that out of your system to like move on and be like a better like writer or like a filmmaker. So it's almost like people come into blockchain, and after like a couple months, they're like, we should, like, the social media model is broken, we should recreate it on the blockchain. So it seems as like the Stargaze team kind of went through that in their own version of that, and then found out that, hey, like, this is really not an easy thing to do. We have to take like a giant leap back and see like what do we actually have in the space we're here right now. Like there are tons of social media blockchain companies, and none of them have really like projects, and none of them have really been able to take off. Like, well, like, I don't know if, are you guys familiar with Steam and Hive? So
I think I heard about it.
So Steam, here, I'll show you Steam. So Steam, it was, I mean, it still is, like, I still think Steam and Hive are some very cool projects that no one has really heard about. And these were some of the very first social media blockchain projects, but they just weren't able to really develop a community and like really take off. And there was also like internal issues, like Justin Sun ended up buying Steam essentially, and then like the users revolted and created Hive, and then there's this whole thing about Vitalik and legitimacy. I don't know if you. Let me see a second. I'm probably getting a little too deep.
No, it's good. It's good.
Here. But like all this is to say is that creating like the social layer is very, very difficult, and it's definitely more beneficial, I think, to take a step back. There's also stuff like Ethereum World, which was trying to do that. Akash, which was like another social media project on Ethereum. Sorry, I think I'm rambling a little bit. I kind of forgot what the question was.
Yeah, no, man, you perfectly answered it. And I like that you went deep in it because, we want to provide people like good information, complete information. And also the links you send are very good because people can do their own research with the help of that.
Yeah.
So this is like my last question, and it's more like an open-ended one. Where do you see Stargaze in the next 5 years?
Oh man, great question. In 5 years, I think our inflation goes to about 7 years. So we'll be getting towards like the end of like the high inflation cycle, and Stargaze, I think should be a top 3 or 4 marketplace, ideally. And it's more or less self-sufficient. We're competing with Ethereum and Solana and Tezos, other major NFT chains, or where the NFT liquidity is. We have people building impressive products on top of Stargaze, developers coming to the ecosystem wanting to learn more and build, and then just having a plethora of amazing artists. Like, people are going to come to Stargaze because the user experience is so good, because we have permission smart contracts, because our gas fees are like currently 0. Eventually, we're going to have to enable gas once inflation starts to dwindle down, but the gas fees are going to essentially be negligible compared to Ethereum. And yeah, I think we'll be a main contender in the NFT space. The social stuff I don't want to give too much on, because that's developing after like the NFT stuff comes up, and everything just moves so fast. It really just depends on what the community wants, right? So like right now, we've also been hearing a bunch of projects wanting to do stuff on DAOs. So we're like looking into building out more robust DAO tooling, like a multi-sig and a way for people to vote with their NFTs on chain. We've also funded, I think we've given a grant to the Starrybot team, and so they've built out Starrybot to enable NFT projects to do like off-chain voting in Discord. So like that's a mini DAO, right? Essentially, it's like a DAO light. A lot of people want DAOs, but they don't necessarily have a very robust use case for it. A lot of it is just like voting on like what to do or what to buy, and you don't really need to do that on chain. Like, it's great if you can, but doing it off chain just reduces the friction and the barrier to entry for voting. So we think there's a lot you still can do off chain. So like, have a look at you probably are familiar with Starrybot. So DAOs, I think within the next couple, like within this year, definitely we're going to be building out more expansive DAO tooling. So that's a pretty big one. So DAOs. Stuff. Borrowing and lending is another one that we're going to be working on this year. So you'll be able to, put your NFT up as collateral and then borrow stars against that, or even vice versa. But 5 years is a long time in the crypto world. That's possibly 2 cycles there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we pretty much intend to be the go-to marketplace and launchpad for NFTs. I think that's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I know I said that was the last question, but another one came up to me right now with your answer. So you have a inflationary system for the tokens. Why you choose that over a deflationary one?
Well, so the inflation is there to help bootstrap the protocol and the project, right? So the inflation, that's how pretty much all Cosmos chains are. We kind of took the inflationary mechanism. We were inspired by Osmosis. They do a thirding as well. And so the way our tokenomics work is that every year the inflation gets cut by a third. So there's going to be 1 billion tokens that are minted in 2022. And then that's going to be cut by a third. So 66%, that's a 660 million. And then the following year, it'll be cut by a third. But yeah, I mean, the main reason was to bootstrap the network. The inflation really helps with that, and you kind of see that in other networks. But with that said, Stars does have a deflationary mechanism. There is not an infinite amount of stars. The maximum amount of stars that can ever be is 4 billion, and due to the tokenomics, it will never reach that, right? That's like it nears 4 billion is a great way to think of it. It gets very close, but we'll never touch it. But we do have a deflationary mechanism, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's fair burn. That is extremely important, and that is something you should definitely mention and write about. So from every NFT that's minted via Launchpad, 10% of that is taken as a protocol fee. So let's say you mint an NFT for 1,000 stars. The creator would get 900 stars, and 100 stars would go to the protocol as a fee. So 5% of those stars, 50 stars, will get burned, will ultimately get taken out of circulation, and that makes stars deflationary. And then the other 5% goes to the community pool. So now the 50 stars in that specific transaction goes to the community pool, and the community can decide what to do with those stars. So as of right now, stars will be, I don't want to say considerably lower than 4 billion, but there's definitely a couple million stars that have been burned through people minting stars and purchasing on the marketplace. The marketplace protocol fee is 2%. So if you're buying something for 100 stars, 2%, 2 stars will get taken as a fee. One of those stars will get taken out of circulation forever, and the other star will go to the community pool. So there are deflationary mechanisms involved, and once we start to reach like peak inflation, which I think we have to look at the tokenomics. I think it's going to be, it looks like after year like 7, I think it looks like year 5, we're maybe only about like less than 200 million maybe. So yeah, probably after year 7, depending on the activity level, stars will become deflationary.
Nice. That's a nice system.
Yeah. So yeah, right now it's really just bootstrapping. Like we need 5 years of inflation to get people interested in stars. And this also, the token, the inflation is good because it increases the access to stars. There's just more stars around for people to get a hold of, right? So if there are only 1,000 stars, then there wouldn't be as much liquidity in stars, right? But now that there's more stars, there's more liquidity in the stars. And so that allows people to have more access to purchasing stars and more holders of stars.
Yeah, so you basically have a combination of both systems, inflationary and deflationary at the same time.
Exactly. And so if more people do start, if we do have more creators creating NFTs, and more people buying them, that's going to accelerate the deflationary mechanisms. If more people are using marketplace, that's going to accelerate the deflationary mechanisms. And once we reach peak inflation, like I said, in 7 years, then the market and Stargaze a well-used chain, then it's just essentially infinitely going to be deflationary. Now that's to also say that all of these numbers, the fair burn numbers, those are controlled through governance, so those can also change. So pretty much all fees on Stargaze are controlled via governance. So to launch a project, you have to have 1,000 stars as a protocol fee. And same thing, half of that gets burned and the other half goes to the community pool. So like, let's say stars ends up being, like $10, right? That $1,000 project instantation, the 1,000 star project instation fee is like very high. So via governance, people would have to lower that number.
Yeah, nice. I think those were all of my questions. Thank you very much for your answers. They were like really complete answers. Really looking forward to put them in a nice article and also to put this recording available for people.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. What about Davey or David? Do you guys have any other questions for me or anything I can help answer?
Yeah, so like from my side, I think that's all. I think we come up with cool questions, and you got like some cool answers to it, and yeah, I think we will like prepare something cool like in terms of like Medium article about it, and yeah, like from my side, like thank you for your time, Ruwan, that you like joined us, and yeah, like looking forward.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was great speaking with you guys, and it's always good to answer questions. It definitely helps me solidify how to talk about Stargaze. We are also having like an open AMA on Tuesday in the Discord. Feel free to. Oh, I think I told Detractor about it, but I think it ends up being like 5 a.m. or something your time there. So
yeah, we will be for sure there.
Okay, I mean it's early. I understand. I wake up very late and stay up very late. So 5 a.m. generally would not work for me. So I totally understand. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention for you guys about Stargaze. We talked. I think we got pretty in depth. Yeah, Davey, what about you? Anything? Any questions or burning answers you need?
So, Davey, do you have something?
Okay, yeah, we actually worked on those questions together, so it was everyone's questions, but I just asked them.
I also think I mentioned to you, Detractor, that you guys might be a good candidate for running a validator. So if you're interested in that, ask me questions about that, or Jorge in the Validators channel. He's really the one. Like I said, he's like the hidden guardian of the network. not so hidden, but he's very smart, very talented. He's like a co-founder of the project, and he's the one that really works with all the validators. But you guys it seems like you guys are really trying to like promote yourself and your marketing. And if you're planning to be around Stargaze for a while, like running a validator is a good way to be a part of the community and like work on like community projects and be involved with Stargaze even more. So that's something to consider for you guys in the future.
Yeah, so we was actually like we are now actually like talking about that and like internally, and I think we might consider that to even like putting that on our roadmap, and like thanks to you, like Ruwan, like to like talking about it like more to us, and yeah, because like we are for the long run, and I think it will be like very, very good for us.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and I think I mentioned maybe to Detractor that we'll be launching the foundation delegation program. No specific date, but probably relatively soon. So The foundation delegations will go to people who make extra effort to help Stargaze, and that could be running like infrastructure, like relayers, sentry nodes, like other like technical snapshot stuff, or other community related activities like writing content about Stargaze, like educating people about Stargaze, finding artists to onboard to Stargaze, etc. So yeah, you guys seem like you'd be in a good position to do at least the communication marketing stuff. So just wanted to give you a heads up about that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're actually considering it. So I also read the documents you sent me about the validators, but they're only technical stuff like how to actually build a validator, but no information about anything else besides how to actually build it and to develop it. So maybe we can have a talk sometimes when you can tell us more about it.
Yeah. So when it comes to like, setting it up is the main thing. And then like every other services you provide can be either like on-chain services or off-chain services. So like the on-chain stuff is the infrastructure, like the running the relayers and things. And the off-chain stuff is like the communications, community, kind of marketing stuff. But all the technical stuff, that's a Jorge question. Ask that in the validator chat, because I don't think I'll be able to help you as well about that.
Yeah, I think the questions was more non-technical, because everything technical is pretty well covered in the documentation. Okay. But besides that, it's like a big blur. Like, how should this work? Like we incentivize our community to use our validator.
Right. Okay. Yes, exactly. So there are a couple of projects. Starnauts is one of them, and Alpha Centaurians is another one, and there may be another one where if a person owns your NFT, if they own like the Knots NFT, then they get a discount on the validator, right? So if we look at the validator set, the range of commissions is 5 to 10%, with the general consensus being around 5%. So if you own one of these Loopy Loris NFTs, that owner, if they stake to your validator, can get a discount anywhere from 1% to 20%. Like if they own multiple NFTs like the Starnauts do, then they get even more. So I think the way Starnauts does it, if you own one Starnaut, you get a 7% discount on the Rhino validator. If you own 2, you get an 18% discount. And if you own 3 of those NFTs, you get a 25% discount on the validator. So that's a way to incentivize your community to stake their stars to your validator, and a way to incentivize the purchasing of your NFTs.
Okay, you mentioned like 8 to 10% discounts, but I saw that the consensus, like you said, is like around 5%.
Right. So what I mean is that 10% off that 5% commission. So 25% would end up being only a 4% commission as opposed to a 5% commission.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. So that's something to do, but also you have to keep in mind, how much it's going to cost you to run this validator, like how much you're able to give as a discount, because like it's not free to run a validator. I think it's relatively inexpensive. I think you probably do it for like $100 or $200 a month, possibly even less. And you want to have it you want to have it decentralized. You don't want to run it on AWS. You want to do it on, I think, like bare metal or something like that. This is more of a Jorge question, but you want it to be like worthwhile for you, either economically or like community wise, as like a soft power. And it also takes, like, you have to, whenever you need to upgrade the contracts, the chain, you have to like be involved with that. So it's not a totally passive service by any means, but it doesn't require a ton of upkeep, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how is the validator actually generating income? Just from people staking to our validator?
Yes. So the validator is earning these inflation rewards by having people stake to it, right? So if we look at, let's say, like I mean, I'm just going to do this top one. So let's say like Cosmos Station is getting, they have roughly 35 million stars staked to them. So let's see. That's 35 million. And so in 1 year, if it's 100%, right, they'll maybe be making 5. So in 1 year, the Cosmos Station validator will be making 1.75 million stars at that 5% commission. So that's how they make the money. And so, yeah, you pretty much have to convince people to delegate to you for one reason or another. That could be your community deciding to delegate to you because like they know they trust you and like they're part of your community. It could be an economic incentive by holding the NFT, they get lower commissions, right? Or they could just like what you're, also just like what you're doing. But yeah, we're going to make it a little bit more clear on what these validators are doing. Right now, you kind of have to do a little bit more legwork to figure out who to validate to.